privilege that we have to fellowship together. We thank you for the privilege that we have to fellowship with you as well. And I pray that you would just be with us, give us wisdom, give us strength. Lord, I pray that everything that's said and done would bring honor and glory to you. And Father, we just pray that you would, those that might be suffering physically or vacation, I pray that you give safety. And for those that are suffering physically, I pray that you give healing for their bodies. And again, Father, I do pray that you would give us wisdom, that we might bring honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Marquetti. Here. Commissioner Leyland. Commissioner Barrera. Chair Jones.
Yep.
Commissioner Howie. Present. Commissioner Locke. Here. And Commissioner Lawrence.
Here.
All right. We have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Well, I talked to Jeremiah about the 23rd, so I guess we could talk about it. Under new business, maybe talk about changing the date for the workshop. That's on the 23rd. I can't make it. So.
Workshop.
And just one last point, I know we revised the agenda and sent that out, but item 7, the TrueNarc drug testing system, I think it should be counted as in the agenda now, but just wanted to make sure we were all on the same
Yep,
page.
I
with
got
that.
it on.
Got it.
I got it on my list.
Okay.
So we got 8 items. The 8th will be the 23rd workshop discussion.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
Yes, ma'am.
I move for the approval of the agenda with the addition of number 8 to discuss the date of the budget workshop.
Second.
Motion on the floor and support. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Open the floor for public comment. You have 3 minutes. Magically, I don't have to say the rest. The floor is now closed for public comment. Item H. Need approval.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Yep.
I would second that motion.
I have a motion on the floor and support. Is there any discussion on the minutes from the July 18, 2024? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The financial report is in the packet. Does anybody have any questions? You lucked out, LT. There's no unfinished business. So under new business, we have the revised L4029 report.
After receiving Monica's canvass of votes, thank you very much, was decided by the voters that the drug enforcement millage passed for .4751 mils. That has changed our L4029 report and increased the amount of levies for this year. So this is being brought before you today so that we can have another truth and taxation meeting at the next regular meeting. There was not an increase per se in taxes, it's just this was a renewal, and it was not included when I brought this to you in June, and it will be charged on the winter tax bills.
Yeah, good deal.
Just making you aware.
That one should be too easy. So we need a
We
motion.
will get
and
the
a-
notice for the public hearing in the papers as required and
Yeah.
make sure it's on the next agenda.
All right. We need a motion and a support to move that forward.
I move we move this forward to the, I believe it's September 5th.
Yep.
And Jim, is that a support?
Yes, sir.
All right. Motion on floor, support. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, Materials Management Board appointments.
Yes, so Roseanne and I have been involved in the planning for this, and we had the interlocal agreement that was revised that we approved at the last meeting. This actually is going to be setting the committee members for the Materials Management Planning Group. So they're essentially the way it works is that the committee has recommendations that come to each county from the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. There was an application process through the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission for interested parties. They reviewed that list and tried to kind of coordinate the different positions to try to find as close as we could equal representation across all of the counties. And then each of the counties has their own specific applicants that are not required to be approved by everybody. Those would include an elected county official and then one business that generates managed materials. So the appointments in total would be the ones that are listed on that sheet for the overall group that all the counties would be approving. And then for the county-specific ones, it was Commissioner Marquetti for the elected county official, and then Dan Stutzman for the business that generates managed materials. And there was, like I said, there was a graph in there that kind of highlights where the appointments come from in terms of who they're representing, so you can see that. It's kind of color-coded, so you can get an idea of which counties are represented by which positions, that sort of thing.
Dan's currently the chair of the current Materials Management
Yes,
Board,
yes.
so that just makes sense.
Yep.
And Roseanne is better than me, and I applaud you for doing it, because I did it 2 years ago.
Well,
And one thing I would say, when you look at the chart, is, you know, I think Cass County is pretty well represented.
yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
I think in any agreement like this, you know, I don't think I would shy away from saying that we're always concerned about making sure Cass County's interests are conveyed. And I think, you know, you look at Berrien County, there are a number of entities or proposals here for appointees that would represent all counties, but Berrien specific, there wasn't, you know, an excessive amount. I think Van Buren County is well represented. It seemed fair from what I could see.
Roseanne, do you want to have that appointment expire in January of 2024, and then when we get the new commissioners, a new chair, a board chair, and a new vice chair, and the appointments get sent out, the new commissioners coming in, you know what I mean?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'll serve, I mean.
Because you can do it
But it
either
seems-
way.
But it seems to me, though, that if you appoint me, then that is the person who serves,
Mhm.
unless I decide that I.
And then if you decide after the fact, then we can address that then.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I move that we appoint Roseanne to the committee.
And Dan Stutzman.
And-
Dan Stutzman, yes.
Second.
Motion on the floor and support. Any other discussion?
Yes, I just want to say this. This has been a long and arduous process.
Mhm.
Tons and tons of meetings. At one time, we were told one thing, and then another time, we're told something else, and many, many hoops to jump through. And we have Becca Schrag of the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, who has done a marvelous job. She has put all of this together and takes minutes for the meetings. After the meeting, we get the minutes. I mean, she has done a great, great job. But I also want to say is that when we got the applications, I was amazed at the credentials of the people who agreed to serve. They all had backgrounds. These people that are on here, two of them were on our solid waste planning committee, and they were outstanding. So,
We started, 2 years ago, sending out the request for
Yep.
people to come.
yes, we
So
did.
it paid
It's
off.
been a long time.
It paid off.
Right, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, thank you all.
The other
Your
thing,
patience.
the other thing I would note is that we do need to make sure, like when we go to the regular meeting next week, or not next week, on the 5th, it would be our county-specific appointments and the bulk of the other ones too.
Yes, yeah, we have to agree to those appointments as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
so we'll have it structured to a motion basically to approve that whole list.
It's fine with me.
All right.
All right.
We change the motion to that?
No, you don't need to do
Okay.
that, no, because we'll do that on the 5th.
Okay.
All right. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, fiscal year 25 child care fund budget. Judge Beeler is on her way.
We submit this every year to you for approval. And the good news is that the reimbursement rate has increased from 50% to 75% on many items, so that's good. And so I just need to get this moved on to the regular business meeting so that then the board chair can sign off on it so we can submit it in the system. But if anybody has any questions, we've presented on it before, so I think you're all familiar with it.
Yeah, like you said, it's done every year we do it. There was no surprises.
But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Looks good.
Okay,
Very good.
that's easy then. Push the easy button. Thank you.
All right, one of you four, we need our part.
I will make a motion to move that on to the next business meeting.
Second.
Motion on the floor and support. No more discussion, or is there? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, boards and commissions attendance policy. Who's that, the policy committee?
Yes.
One of you all can take that if you want.
So this came about because not only this board or our boards that we appoint, but other boards that we appoint as well outside of the county, and that people do not attend meetings, they miss meetings 3 in a row. And so we looked in the past, when people were appointed to a committee, they got a letter congratulating them and giving them some particulars, but the letter also stated that if they missed 3 consecutive meetings, that they were going to be considered a non-member. So we had to reinstate that policy. We have to put that back in the letter, because we have a person in the planning commission right now that has missed 3 consecutive meetings.
And there's other
And there's
committees
others,
that is worse than that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that we had put a notice of that in some of the appointment letters, but if somebody were to say, could you point to your policy that says this, we didn't really have one. So that was the purpose here, was to do that.
And that's 3 in a row.
And the way that this particular policy is structured is that it requires that if anybody misses 3 consecutive meetings, period, that automatically will result in somebody being removed from that committee. In terms of the other, like if it's not necessarily consecutive but more intermittent, we proposed an option here that basically correlates the number of absences permitted before that triggers based on the number of meetings in a year. So if you have a committee, for example, that meets or commission, board, whatever, that meets 4 times a year, missing 2 of those is different than missing 2 meetings where you meet once a month or more. So that was kind of the idea with part of this, was saying, well, you can't miss 3 consecutive meetings, period. And if you're in a board or a commission that maybe meets more or less frequently, that may be triggered at a different point as well. So you can miss 1. If you meet 4 times a year, you can miss 1. You miss that second one, that's it. You've missed half the meetings for the year. I think this gives teeth to the ability to be able to make sure that our boards and commissions are being served by active participants. I know you've dealt with it back to the Solid Waste Planning Committee, where having people appointed that weren't attending made it really hard to get quorum, and we need to be able to do the work of the county, and this helps us make sure that.
the solid
EDC is a
waste,
good example.
Planning Commission,
Yeah.
a couple other ones. Yeah, I get it. Well, that's you two.
I'll recommend that we move this forward to the business meeting on September 5th.
Second.
Motion on the floor and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm about to jinx us. This is going quickly. Duress arm system. And Sheriff, you can just talk for both. No, just that one. You were in both the meeting for both.
What's that?
Never mind. You was just there for the meeting for both of them. I was gonna combine them both, but the floor is yours, sir.
The duress alarm system, this is a project for the jail. It's so officers, if they get in trouble, they can trip an alarm to get attention of the other officers. You approved it actually about 9 months ago, but that quote wasn't for the entire project. It was only for a portion of the project, so we got the quote updated. And then we've also submitted for a RAP grant, but then they've, from MMRMA, and, but now they've put the RAP grants on hold. So we don't know if we're gonna get that RAP grant right away, but in the past, they've always awarded grants after the completion of a project. We would hope they would consider this, because they did award it before for the prior quote, but we were hoping to get another $30,000 because this quote was higher. So it's a needed system, the money is in place to do it. So we'd like to move forward with it at this time. And hopefully we can move it forward to the meeting.
I was
Talk
the
about it
chair of
more.
that meeting, so I will move that we move this forward to the business meeting.
A second.
Motion on the floor and support. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next one is engineering design services for Dr. Lawless International Dark Sky Park.
Thank you. I'm here to recommend O'Boyle, Cowell, Blaylock and Associates be approved as the landscape architect vendor for the Lawless project. You're probably asking why. Well, they have a 60-year history. They've been in existence since 1964. They've partnered with Cass County Parks on many projects, 2 master plans at Lawless Park, 1 master plan at Dodd Park, and they've also created site drawings and assisted in creating estimates for 4 grant proposals. So they're very familiar with our operation, and you folks have approved their work before. What caught my attention with their project or with their proposal is they are currently working with the City of St. Joe on a land and water conservation fund project for the Whirlpool Centennial Park, and that project includes a splash pad. So they're as up to date on the land and water conservation fund procedures and requirements, and also up to date on information, the latest and greatest with splash pads. So that kind of caught my attention. They've also worked a lot with Western Michigan University, Kellogg's, and 75% of their business are from repeat clients or clients that have referenced them and referred them for work.
And they're one of 3.
Of 3, yep,
3
1 of 3.
bids.
We did get 3 bids. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I went
And
right
you're-
over that.
You've worked with them before, and so has the county worked with them before.
Absolutely.
And they came in as the lowest bidder.
Right, yep,
So-
absolutely. So, again, they're, one of the proposals, they're the only proposal that mentioned Eagle specifically, actually setting down and setting up a meeting with Eagle, because we're not sure what permits we're gonna need out there with the size of the project and also the proximity to water at Lawless Park. So I thought that was very important. They also recognize, just because of their familiarity with our parks and what we're trying to accomplish, they actually made mention that these improvements are preludes to bigger and better things like established camping, like an observatory, like a nature center. So they understand where we're going, where we came from, where we're going, and they'd like to be part of the future. And they also, again, made mention, this is directly from their proposal. The project budget will be updated during design and documentation of the project, and cost control measures such as bid alternatives will be explored if necessary early in the process. This is the main thing. We will adjust the plans as needed to meet the established budget. We understand that no additional funding is available. So right off the bat, they understand there are parameters to work within, and they're going to do their very, very best to stay within those parameters. I know that there were some concerns. I've been hearing it behind the scenes that there are those that were concerned that O'Boyle, the estimates that they gave for our Dodd Park project were low when we actually went out to bid. Well, you have to remember what construction period, what phase, what construction bubble we were in back in 2008 at that time. I mean, prices were so high, they were just changing every day, and it was very difficult to estimate what these contractors were going to bid because construction prices were so high. And you also have to remember with grants, from the moment these estimates, O'Boyle made these estimates for, let's say, Dodd Park, it was almost 2 years before the bidding went out. So you can imagine the fluctuation in prices in that 2-year time. So things have leveled out now. It's not quite as crazy and volatile. But back at that time, it was absolutely crazy.
So this is not only your recommendation, Scott, this, the Capital Projects Committee also recommended that we go with that and move that forward to this meeting here, right? So,
I believe so, yes.
and I was the chair of that board, so I will also move that we move this forward as requested by the committee.
For,
All right?
I have something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, O'Boyle is not, the lowest bidder because they have $6,600 worth of reimbursables, which
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
brings it up to $117,870. And I well remember
Right,
what
right.
went on with Dodd Park. I
Right.
was here, and it was not great
Yeah, but
for any of us, for you or for the board. And agreed, it was a tough time to, it had to be 2008, it had to be.
18.
no, the
2008.
Dodd project was,
Dodd, yeah,
it's,
yeah.
the Dodd project's about
Yeah,
8 years
different
old,
one.
so maybe it was a little newer than that, but,
Okay, so
yeah.
at any rate, they grossly underestimated what it was gonna cost. So, I'm
Maybe
a little
that's
bit
why.
gun-shy I'm a little bit gun-shy with them.
Maybe that's why they put that clause in there that they know where the parameters are.
Well, and I know, and that's why I brought up, because I know that at the time that you were among several that were concerned, but all I can say, and this isn't just my personal opinion, it was the way it was, is that when they made those estimates, they make those estimates, and Marcy did that grant for us, So they make those estimates as we're determining what projects we want to do, and then those estimates get passed along, then the grant itself gets put together and submitted. And from that time, from when those estimates were made until we actually went out to bid and were receiving proposals, it was almost 2 years. So it was a crazy time. I get it, could it have been done better? Well, obviously, it could have been done a little bit better, but it was a volatile time. And let me say something too about your reimbursables. That $3,600 for the geotechnical investigation, that is something to be yet determined, because with our new parking lot at Lawless, it's going to be paved. Right now it's gravel, it's going to be paved. So we're going to have to create some kind of a retention pond, rain garden, something like that. And we're not sure of the soils below that. So that $3,600 may not even happen. So
Or it could be more.
no, these numbers are not to exceed. Everything in here is not to exceed. So the printing not to exceed, mileage not to exceed, and permitting fees, if required, not to exceed $1,000. So it's not going to exceed that.
All right. Any other discussion?
I had my say.
And thank you. I knew it was a concern of yours.
Hearing none, all in favor to move it forward, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Number 7, True Dark drug testing system.
Just to confirm, so for the regular meeting, the movement is to designate O'Boyle
Yeah.
as the contractor for this RFP. Okay.
Yeah. Clint?
TrueNarc. So TrueNarc is an instrument that is used to discover what type of drugs you might have in a bag or in a bottle or in a needle. It's an instrument that uses a laser and it has a library in it. So it's a way for us to test narcotics and pills and drugs without having to actually open them up and touch them. It goes right through the bag. So it's qualified to be used in court for prelims. And actually, the state police lab uses that when they preliminary test our drugs for us. So we're just actually kind of getting a step ahead, and this is going to allow every officer in the county access to it for two of them, one at CDET and one at the sheriff's office, to use it so that nobody has to open a bag of fentanyl anymore. Nobody has to worry about ingesting anything, falling over and having to get Narcan. So it's going to be a really good tool to take away the risk of someone getting hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, couple of questions. First of all, can I say Edwardsburg Police Department? Yeah, they can use it too? Okay.
Yep, everybody,
And then
all the
the
departments.
Then the second question is, what does it look like? I mean, I want a picture of it. It's fascinating.
It's really just
I want a picture of it.
it's a small square box with a computer screen on it, about that big.
Is that right?
And it has a very intense laser on it, so you have to be careful with the laser. So that includes training 12 people on how to use it. So the CDET guys, some guys at the sheriff's office, some people from Eversburg, Cass, if they want to get trained.
Okay.
But it'll be, the one in Cass will keep either in a sergeant's car or on a road car. So if Eversburg gets a drug arrest or Cass Village gets a drug arrest, we could go there and we could do it for them.
Now you've seen this demonstrated.
Pardon me?
You've seen this demonstrated.
Yeah, so actually, we looked at these 10 years ago through CDAC, and it failed miserably, and we wanted nothing to do with it. Well, the technology's caught up now, and he came in 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, and it was 100% spot on with everything we had. And I just got drugs out of our evidence room. He had no idea what they were. I mean, he could look at them and have an idea, but tested them, and they came back. So, yeah, we were pretty impressed with it this time.
Well, anything that keeps you all safe.
Yep, great.
So it goes through like a bag, like if it's in a bag or
Yep.
something?
Yep.
Didn't we
Pills.
have one of our officers fall out one time because they got fentanyl or something in the past?
Well, we've had a couple guys get hurt. We had, when they were doing anhydrous to make meth, PK got a head full of that out of a cooler in the back of a car and had to go to the hospital. Luckily, we haven't had anybody, knock on wood here, have to get Narcan for fentanyl. We're pretty careful on how we handle it and what we do with it, so it's nasty stuff.
All right.
Well, I think we should move this forward.
Second.
All right, motion on the floor and support. Too easy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, last new business. We have a workshop on the 23rd at 8 o'clock. Where's that gonna be at, Matt?
Here.
It's gonna be right here, at 8 o'clock in the morning. And Mary won't be able to make it. And was your suggestion to talk about, see about changing it?
Yeah. That would be okay. Is it totally out of the question to have it during the week, on a weeknight?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think it'd just be really, I think I would recommend, I guess, that we would coordinate and make sure that Board of Commissioners can be there, but also elected officials. I know I talked with
That was a problem.
Prosecutor
That was a
Fitz,
problem.
and I do know that with Friday, for example, he has the POAM conference that same day, so he was potentially going to stay here that morning and try to get out and get there on time, and he was concerned about some of the content there, missing some of that. And so I would just encourage that if there was going to be a change, we would coordinate that with everybody so that we can. It's hard to coordinate everybody's schedule, but to try to accommodate everybody the best that we can.
So isn't there I get this all the time at different organizations that I serve on. They're like a doodle, isn't that what it's called? Like a doodle something? Can we do that? And,
Yeah, we could.
What is that?
well,
Poll?
it's
It's a
on,
poll
what's a
on the
doodle
internet.
poll? Thank you.
What is
Oh.
Yes, a doodle poll. And it asks what dates you're available and,
And then it does all the work for us,
Yeah.
and there's the date.
Yeah, I mean, and we have that built into our email system as well, so we could send out a poll to
Perfect.
everyone and what dates and
So I'm gonna
So
take
you
that
just
off
send
my
out,
calendar and.
Like a calendar of August and say,
Are you done talking
Yes,
about
ma'am,
my
go ahead.
comment?
Yeah, please.
Oh, she's got her calendar, look out.
Well, no, it's just, we talked about this a year ago at this time. And I guess I'm just imploring, I don't understand why we can't schedule some of these dates, you know, in January when you hold your first meeting, because I've already moved court hearings for that date. I'm happy to then do it whenever you say we're doing it, but it's really, you know, the elected officials, we all have jobs to do, and we should be doing those jobs too. And it just seems strange. We used to always have all of our workshops scheduled a year ahead of time so we could mark them out on our calendar and know that that time is for that purpose. And we talked about, sure, we can do that. And now a whole nother year has gone by, and then there were people unhappy with the way the meeting was scheduled at the last meeting, and there was one elected official, I think, that wasn't here. And so also this is a timing thing. It has to be done by a certain date. So who's going to be the tiebreaker, like when several people say they're not available on this doodle poll? Because I'm sorry, but you know, I want to be sure that I am able to come to this for the courts, because we have over 40 employees and our budget, I feel, is important. I'm sure all the other elected officials feel their budget is important. And it is the primary job that the commissioners have is the budget. And so we want to be sure that we're able to have that dialogue. So I don't think it's also fair that a doodle poll gets sent out, and then if somebody has pre-planned things that is going on, that they're then said, well, too bad, that's when it's going to be, because that's what keeps happening with every meeting we go to schedule. And so anyway, I understand, and I'm sure this sounds like a complaint, but it's more a frustration of, we all have our different jobs to do, and I don't understand why it's so hard for us to schedule a meeting.
I will say, for the new agenda system, we have an item already scheduled for next January to schedule a list of workshops in advance. So we are going to be doing that.
Well, that's a good start. It's just, you know, for those of us that have dates on the calendar well in advance, it's not fair to our constituents to say, oh, well, we have to move your stuff because now suddenly we have a conflict and we've got to get a budget passed, because what somebody said to me after the last meeting was, well, haven't you guys known you have to get a budget passed? And so it makes it hard to answer that question, just like some of the other discussions we've had. And like, we all want to do our best for our county. I know we do. But it seems like we could accomplish this a little better.
How many people do we have that can't make it to the 23rd?
I have no idea.
Just you and me?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. I'm asking.
We just had something come up that we have to.
So it's just you all, and Vic's gonna be here?
Vic said he would be here. He asked if he could go first thing in the morning.
So we only have one person
Right.
that can't be here.
We can still have the meeting, but I didn't know if you had a conflict.
No, I don't.
Okay.
No,
So.
no, I don't.
Okay,
But
well, then just have the meeting then.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind is that
Thanks, Carol.
if the budget is passed as it is, that's a little more straightforward. If there was a desire on the part of the Board of Commissioners to see any changes, things like that, the more you push it back, the harder it is
yeah, you're gonna
for
have time to do anything like that.
us to be
then
able to work
August.
together with everyone to facilitate those. So if you pushed it back to, September, I mean, we're really at crunch time right there to be able to get that done. And obviously, if the budget isn't passed before the end of September, that has major ramifications, and we don't want to see that, so.
All right, so the consensus is we're just gonna keep it as is.
That's fine.
All right, moving on. Public comment, this is for everything else.
everything else.
You got 3 minutes.
I need 20 seconds. We had a spectacular week, our weekend of dark sky viewing. Friday night we had music, Saturday and Sunday, and Monday night we had clear skies, about 400 cars, which equates to 700 or so people, and look for good things for dark
Wait,
sky.
can I
Oh.
ask?
Yeah.
So, okay, you said you had 400 cars now.
Yeah, that was throughout that was through.
Okay, but how many people then, do you
Yeah.
have any kind of a count?
Yeah, I'm saying 700 plus, yeah, because those
Are we
cars had
talking about a dollar piece?
$5 a car. $5 a car. And we had a concession stand, and like I said, music on Friday, and all good reports
Who
and.
works the
and so-
concession stand, Terry?
Terry and Scott and several others. So a great team effort, great dark skies, and it's only the beginning.
Thank you, sir. Floor is still open. Floor is now closed for public comment. Any board member comments? If not, we have one order of business left. This meeting is adjourned.
5:35.
It's amazing how
Pretty good for a committee of the whole.
election will calm down a lot of some things.
One thing I will
Your
say.
stress is now.